President Trump also announced a new trade deal with the UK. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
No! I refuse! I'm sick of it! Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
If you came up with the picture of an annoying, insufferable white woman, it would be Meghan Markle, even though she's not white.
Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things. After 6 episodes, I wanted to attack them.
Meghan Markle has finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H.
Mm-hmm. And he'll say M and you'll say H and your friends say M and it just is a thing.
It's a thing.
And do you both love it?
Yes, and I like nicknames a lot.
What could it be? A mystery for the ages.
I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. They're the original racists.
The moment Colin Jost stared into the Saturday Night Live camera and took aim at Meghan Markle, it was clear a brutal shift had occurred. This wasn't just another joke. This was a verdict. To truly understand how Meghan and Harry went from royal rebels to the world's favorite punchline, we need to look at 3 things: the SNL roast that served as the official tipping point, the relentless comedic onslaught from every corner of Hollywood that followed, and the most damning evidence of all, the kind that comes from their own deeply strange public statements. There's one moment in particular, a bizarrely awkward exchange during Prince Harry's interview on the Colbert Show, that is more revealing than any joke ever could be. It has to be seen to be believed, and we will get to it. But first, we have to start with the takedown that ripped the whole narrative apart. It all started on Saturday Night Live, where Weekend Update anchor Colin Jost kicked things off. He took a simple news story about international trade and used it as a sledgehammer to question what the Sussexes are even worth anymore.
President Trump also announced a new trade deal with the UK. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
The studio audience went wild. It was a raw, unfiltered reaction. But Colin Jost's joke was about more than just their shrinking popularity. It was a direct shot at whether their whole post-royal plan even makes sense. So, when the topic turned to a famous billionaire making strange choices, Jost used it to make an even bolder and more embarrassing comparison.
Elon built electric cars, he's going to Mars. Why is he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits.
The comparison was savage. It basically called their fairy tale romance a confusing career mistake. And this kind of attack is nothing new for the show. They've been poking fun at the couple's story for years. In fact, Jost's co-anchor, Michael Che, said something even more blunt way back when the couple first got married.
Earlier today, Suits actress Meghan Markle married some unemployed dude who still lives with his grandma.
This unemployed dude caricature became legendary because it completely destroyed that royal fairy tale image. It's a theme SNL has clearly never forgotten. So, when news came out that a Suits spinoff was being planned, the show was ready to twist Meghan's big comeback into another brutal shot at her husband.
It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
The laughter was merciless, and the message was clear. SNL wasn't holding back, but they were just one part of a much bigger comedic assault. Soon, it felt like every late-night host was getting in on the action, and their first target was the couple's infamous multi-million-dollar Netflix deal. The joke wrote itself, and on the massive stage of the Golden Globes, host Joe Coy delivered the punchline directly to their Hollywood peers.
Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
That joke, delivered in a room full of people who actually have to produce content for their deals, hit hard. It crystallized the growing perception that Harry and Meghan had cashed in on their titles without delivering the goods. This idea of being paid for nothing became a running gag across the industry. Over on The Daily Show, Trevor Noah framed it in a more direct, personal way, imagining what Meghan must have been thinking.
This is what happens when you bring the first black woman into the royal family. She looked at Harry and she's like, you need to get a job.
But the mockery quickly pivoted from their bank accounts to something far more fragile, the very foundation of their story. Attacking their work ethic was one thing, but questioning their victimhood was another level of assault. Hosts like Jimmy Kimmel began to openly challenge their entire narrative for leaving the UK, pointing out the glaring and almost comical hypocrisy of their chosen escape plan.
Racism was a big part of their decision to leave, which you know things are bad at Buckingham Palace if they came to America to get away from racism.
He had a point, and he wasn't finished. Zooming in on the sheer absurdity absurdity of the royals themselves suddenly acting worried about genetics.
They should hope that the kid looks more like Meghan than Harry. No offense, but Harry kind of looks like the guy who played Screech, may he rest in peace.
With their most serious claims now being openly ridiculed on national TV, the critique snowballed and got even more personal. And honestly, while the things these hosts picked apart are definitely strange, they are nothing compared to the bizarre Colbert clip I promised you earlier. And I promise you, we're getting to it. But first, the comedians turned to the couple's attempt to build a personal brand, which was seen by many as an easy target. Even their cute nicknames were turned into a joke by Stephen Colbert.
Meghan Markle has finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H.
And he'll say M and you'll say H and your friends say M and it just is a thing.
It's a thing.
And do you both love it?
Yes, and I like nicknames a lot.
What could it be? A mystery for the ages.
Meghan's new Netflix cooking show immediately fed into the criticism of her brand. Reports claimed she wasn't actually cooking, just beautifully repackaging store-bought food. This style over substance narrative gave Jimmy Fallon the perfect setup to mock the whole situation.
Why does Meghan Markle make her own pretzel bags? They don't know why.
That's interesting. She takes it from one bag and puts it in another bag.
There's another bag.
And that confuses people.
This was a significant shift, and it wasn't just professional comedians on the attack anymore. The sentiment had saturated Hollywood so much that other actors began talking about it. Meghan's presence was now being framed, however jokingly, as a low-key public annoyance.
Meghan Markle has ruined your workout regime. Is this true? If so,
yes, she has.
The host, James Corden, seemed genuinely confused and asked for an explanation. The reason she gave was both incredibly simple and, in the strange world of celebrity, a very real problem that just sounded ridiculous to everyone else.
She went to a yoga place, which is my yoga place. But now that she went there, everyone's gonna want to go there.
When other celebrities are complaining on national TV that you're crowding their yoga class, you know the narrative has completely spun out of your control. But the polite jabs of late-night TV were nothing compared to the slaughterhouse of stand-up comedy. With no censors, comedians like Ricky Gervais went straight for the classic theme of royal entitlement.
Once at a gig, the back was Harry and William, Madonna and Paul McCartney. Not one of them paid.
That sense of being above it all is a core part of the public's frustration. While Gervais attacked their entitlement, other comics like John Mulaney decided to skip the social commentary entirely. He went straight for the throat with a simple, direct insult aimed squarely at Harry's intelligence and his life-altering decisions.
You dumb ginger. You leave your title because you don't like your 94-year-old grandma? That's the definition of something you wait out.
Mulaney's joke was a sharp passing jab, but for other comedians, the Sussexes became a central obsession. No one has been more merciless than Tim Dillon, who unleashed a torrent of abuse, painting Meghan not just as a phony, but as a deeply insufferable character.
If you came up with the picture of an annoying, insufferable white woman, it would be Meghan Markle, even though she's not white.
For Dillon, this wasn't just about her public persona. His critique became a brutal attack on her intelligence, which he positioned as a defining characteristic.
You'd be stunned at how dumb she was. Not because she's black, because she's an actress who was on the show Suits.
Dillon then connected this idea directly to her business ventures, viewing her new lifestyle brand not as a genuine project, but as a perfect example of a condescending celebrity looking down on the rest of the world.
She thinks we're all animals and that she's helping us with jam and honey.
While Dillon's attack was pure vitriol, comedy legend Chris Rock delivered a more surgical and perhaps even more devastating critique. His perspective on issues of race carries immense weight, so when he spoke, people listened. He started by seemingly agreeing with their core premise about the royal family.
I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. They're the original racists.
But then, he completely pulled the rug out from under Meghan's core complaint.
They wanted to know how brown the baby was gonna be.
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
That's not racist. Even black people want to know how brown the baby gonna be.
That 1-2 punch was crushing. Finally, there was British comedian Simon Brodkin, who seemed to perfectly capture the public's entire journey from curiosity to disgust. He claims that hearing their side of the story in the Netflix documentary was the exact moment he turned on them for good.
Before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs, but now I've actually heard their side of the story, I hate them.
It was the small, self-important details in their story that seemed to drive him crazy, like their contrived, corporate-sounding nicknames, which felt completely inauthentic.
Then they start calling each other H and M, and I just thought, oh, do off.
He was also baffled by how they presented normal royal situations like the curtsy, as if they were uniquely traumatic events, which to many people just sounded completely out of touch.
Harry says, how do you explain to someone who you've just started dating that they have to curtsy to your own grandmother?
How do you explain that you bow to your grandmother and that you will need to curtsy? Especially to an American. Like, that's weird.
And I'm thinking, maybe just tell her that your grandmother is the queen.
And it was Harry's own cringeworthy use of language in his book that gave comedians like Brodkin even more ammunition, making him sound both unrelatable and a little bit silly.
Let me quote you here. Me and M pulled the pin on a fun grenade. I actually started rooting for Prince Andrew.
But for Brodkin and for many others, the final straw was hearing multimillionaires complain about having to pay for their own security. It was a complaint that destroyed any lingering sympathy people might have had.
Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things. After 6 episodes, I wanted to attack them.
The verdict from the stand-up world was in guilty on all counts. But there's a final stage of public mockery that might be the most humiliating of all. When the comedians are done, the cartoonists step in. And no show was more savage than South Park.
You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Where?
The show dedicated an entire episode to them, called The Worldwide Privacy Tour, and it started by mercilessly mocking Harry's memoir. But it immediately pivoted to the book's central, glaring contradiction, a man who hates journalists choosing to become one himself.
Because your family like stupid and then so are like journalists? So you hate journalists. That's right. And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. Right. So you're a journalist.
From there, the show's creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, widened the attack. The cartoon interviewer then turned his attention to Meghan, directly confronting her alleged desire for the very fame she claimed to despise.
We just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines?
The show portrays the prince as being completely oblivious to this hypocrisy, jumping to the defense of his Instagram-loving wife in a way that only makes him look more foolish.
What are you suggesting? Some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
This all builds to the episode's most iconic and brutal visual gag, the couple flying around the world on a private jet, loudly demanding privacy through megaphones, a scene that perfectly captured the public's view of them.
We are leaving! We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people! Come on, wife! We want privacy!
The punchline to their entire worldwide privacy tour comes when they finally find a new home, a place that is perfectly normal and quiet, which only seems to confuse them, reinforcing the idea that it was never privacy they wanted, but attention.
It's so quiet and empty here. If we moved here, then people would think we're really serious about wanting to be normal.
While South Park dedicated a whole story to their hypocrisy, other animated shows like Family Guy used them for quicker, more brutal drive-by punchlines, usually focused on their perceived laziness and greed.
Sir, your millions from Netflix for no one knows what.
Put it with the rest of them.
For these shows, the Sussexes had become a simple shorthand for getting paid for doing nothing.
Time to do our daily $250,000 sponsored Instagram post for Del Taco.
It wasn't just Netflix. It was the entire cringe-worthy world of sponsored content that they imagined the couple was involved in.
I shouldn't have left the made-up nonsense.
As brutal as the cartoons were, they were just reflecting the source material. And the source, more often than not, was Prince Harry himself. During his interview with Stephen Colbert, there was a fascinating moment where it felt like Colbert was trying to offer Harry some direct, on-air advice. It was a subtle message about his public struggle, disguised as a simple movie quote.
He said, let us have an end to this debate about what makes a good man, and be one.
There you go.
You can use that.
Good knowledge.
You can use that.
Thank you.
Harry's casual good knowledge response seems to miss the weight of the moment entirely. Colbert offers him a powerful quote about ending the debate and simply being a good man, and it seemingly flies right over his head. This kind of disconnect is the perfect setup for the other moment from that night, the deeply uncomfortable exchange I promised you at the very beginning.
That's the part. That's the part we're editing out of this interview. Boy, right there. All right.
Very similar to this experience.
This isn't a punchline written by a comedian. It's the moment the mask slips, revealing a pure, self-inflicted awkwardness that justifies all the mockery that came before. Here is that clip.
Unlike what?
That's right, you carry on. You were doing great.
No, you're doing great.
Did you see that? The sudden shift in his eyes, the passive-aggressive jab at the interview experience itself. He looks genuinely pissed off, as if he's moments away from just walking off the set. I don't know, it feels like he's trying too hard to fit in with everyone, and the strain is showing. That right there is the entire problem. It's not about the comedians, the press, or the cartoons. It's about the endless, baffling contradictions. So when you strip everything else away, this story was never really about two royals leaving a palace. It's a modern, brutal cautionary tale about authenticity. It's a lesson, written in real time, that you cannot declare war on the media while simultaneously chasing its spotlight. You cannot preach a story of victimhood and hardship from a life of extreme and undeniable privilege. The contradictions eventually become too massive to ignore. And when that happens, the court of public opinion, with its comedians acting as the modern-day court jesters, will always deliver the verdict. The laughter you've heard throughout all of these clips isn't just about a few good jokes. It is the unmistakable sound of a story that people no longer believe. Which brings us to the final, unavoidable question. After all the strategic missteps, the public public ridicule and the self-inflicted wounds, is there any move Harry and Meghan can make to actually recover? Or is their brand now permanently and irreversibly defined by the punchlines? Let us know in the comments below.